Chapter 190 Ultimate Skill. I can't return to Tempest until Krishna arrives, but that doesn't mean I've been resting leisurely while waiting. Just as Emperor Rudra wished, I've taken on the role of maintaining peace and order in the imperial capital in his stead. I held meetings with nobles who requested audiences, conducted patrols which doubled as sightseeing, and kept myself busy. Though it might look like recreation, my city tours also serve as inspections of urban planning, so I'm not just goofing off. As for reconstruction, there's nothing urgent at the moment. Thankfully, the infrastructure remains intact. The real damage was to the population. Still, with so many people grieving loved ones lost to the angels, it's vital to provide mental and emotional support, especially now that they're being ruled by a demon lord. You'd think such tasks would be ill suited for demons, but surprisingly, that's not the case. The demons that feed on emotions proved useful by subtly reducing the citizens' fear and anxiety. Of course, consuming too many emotions could have harmful side effects, so I instructed them to modulate the effects carefully. The sadness didn't vanish entirely, but it was enough to prevent civil unrest or rebellion. Although if there were signs of rebellion, the demons would probably snuff them out without hesitation, and without reporting it to me. Still, I'm willing to overlook such things for the sake of stability. I have no intention of interfering with civilians, but if they rise up with weapons, I won't hesitate to crush them. That's why I was relieved the demon-style mental care was working. Meanwhile, Dino had made his move in Tempest, likely waiting for us to be occupied with the Emperor's army. Though we may have chosen the timing ourselves, I checked on the situation immediately. Gerudo had sustained serious injuries, while Sean and Zoe were only lightly hurt. Sean's wounds would heal quickly, and Zoe's injuries were hardly worth mentioning. I was relieved. Gerudo, however, was in a bad shape. His life wasn't in danger, but he needed to complete bed rest. Worried, I returned during a break using the transfer gate to check on him. Hey, Gerudo, are you all right? I asked as I entered the treatment room. What I saw was heartbreaking. Gerudo looked utterly miserable. Given his normally high recovery rate, this had to be the result of the enemy's abilities. I reviewed the archived footage of the battle. Sean and Zoe had used Gerudo as a shield. The scene played clearly before me. How cruel, I thought, sympathizing deeply with Gerudo. But from a strategic standpoint, their actions made sense. They managed to repel two powerful fallen angels. Cold as it was, it may have been the optimal choice. Still, that lack of mercy, terrifying. It felt like something Raphael-san would have come up with. Oh, Rimuro-sama, I am truly ashamed. Due to my own incompetence, I've caused you concern. I swear I will strengthen my body so this never happens again. Gerudo's words touched me. Toughen up. Don't you think you're tough enough already? You took countless blows from awakened Demon Lord class enemies and survived. Still, some of that may be thanks to Sean's healing skills. Well then, I'll help you out a bit, I said with a smile. Notification, would you like to carry out the evolution of individual Gerudo? Yes or no? I selected yes and sent 100 souls to Gerudo. And with that, Gerudo evolved into an awakened demon lord. Now's a good time for you to envision your ideal form and take a proper rest, I told him. Understood. I'm deeply grateful for this blessing, he replied. I left Gerudo in the care of the medical staff. I was on the verge of tears. Evolving him was necessary, but emotionally it wasn't a joyful moment. The ceremony ended smoothly. Gerudo didn't resist this time. Next on my list was checking in on the Labyrinth team. Apparently Dino had targeted Ramirez there. I needed to understand the situation. He had defeated Beretta and overwhelmed both Adalman and Albert. He nearly got to Ramirez. Thankfully, Zijan intervened and protected her. As I had suspected, Dino might betray us. I had Zijan keep watch, and that decision paid off. This doesn't mean Beretta and Adalman were weak. Dino was simply stronger than expected. Zijan, though he exceeded all expectations, alongside Diablo, he's in a league of his own. His strength far surpasses that of the other Fleur Guardians. In the archived footage, Zijan defeated Dino with ease, without even revealing his full power. Terrifying, honestly. I'm just glad he's on my side. I still wanted to commend Adalman and Beretta. They may not have won, but they successfully stalled Dino and brought valuable time. But as I feared, I deeply apologize, Rimuro-sama. I exposed Ramirez-sama to danger, Beretta said, bowing alongside the others. As expected, they blamed themselves. No, didn't you all carry out the plan and delay Dino? That's an excellent result. But I was assigned to protect Ramirez-sama. In this crisis, Beretta began. His frustration was clear, but he had assessed the situation correctly and made the best decisions possible. Eventually, he calmed down after I praised him. They had nothing to regret, but since they were so earnest in their self-blame, well then, if you lament your lack of power, I'll give you more. I struck a noble pose and placed my hand on Adalman's head. Notification, would you like to conduct the evolution of individual the Adalman? Yes or no? I selected yes. Adalman's awakening was complete. Next was Beretta. I had plenty of souls left from the Empire battle, and though Ramirez was now Beretta's master, I still held sub-master authority. He plays a critical role protecting Ramirez and managing the labyrinth. Beretta continued to protect Ramirez. Notification. Would you like to conduct the evolution of individual Beretta? Yes or no? I confirmed his evolution. Beretta accepted with a firm nod. Yes, I will dedicate my life to this task. With that, I instructed him to rest and return to his duties when ready. With the labyrinth in capable hands, even against powerful enemies, I felt reassured. I visited Ramirez, peacefully sleeping on a couch. What a relief to see her safe. Munya, munya. Dino, you bastard. I'll hit you with all 48 of my special moves. Was that sleep talking? Seriously, even in her dreams, she's that confident. I'm so glad you're safe. I whispered softly, then left the room. I left Ramirez in Shuna's care. Since she was only asleep, there was no danger. I also checked in with Zijan. Zijan, well done. Dino's betrayal came at a bad time, but I'm glad you were here. No, I still have a long way to go. If it had been you, Rimuru-sama, you could have killed him instantly with a space-time crossing strike, correct? Huh? A space-time crossing strike? I might be able to do that, but yeah, maybe I could. Yes, for Rimuru-sama, it would be a simple task. His tone wasn't mere respect. It was reverence, like he worshipped me. Must be the compound eyes, right? We chatted for a while, apparently. Zijan carved a curse onto Dino, not a simple thought manipulation curse. This was one that could decide life or death. It didn't restrict Dino's actions per se, but if he defied Zijan's will, it could instantly kill him. He couldn't talk about the curse either. Doing so would trigger it. In short, Dino was now living on borrowed time. Literally, Zijan had already killed him once. The life he now has, a temporary one, granted by Zijan. Honestly, Zijan's ultimate skill, Illusion Lord Mephisto, is terrifying. I don't think there's another being more specialized in battle and skill mastery than him. You could say they complement each other. Zijan acquired a skill that nullifies his weaknesses, while most people pursue skills that amplify their strengths. Thanks to that skill, he can create favorable situations for himself. He's also developed his proficiency to use it effectively. From this point on, combat sense becomes increasingly important, but in that regard, Zijan excels. He's truly a terrifying individual. After that, I contacted Dino through the curse and issued a warning. Well, dealing with him might actually be easier. They say a foolish ally is more dangerous than a competent enemy. In Dino's case, just having him on the enemy's side is a net gain for us. At the very least, I hope he'll get in Yuki's way. I went about handling various tasks, and after wrapping up my business in Tempest, I returned to the Imperial capital. Back in the capital, I began pondering over skills while continuing to lead the army. This was the most important thing I needed to consider before Krishna arrived. Between the battle with the demons and royal knights, the confrontation with Yuki who had become Angra Mainyu, and Zijan's fight with Dino, the information I gathered cast a deep shadow of doubt in my mind. It was about something I had never truly questioned before, the very foundation of this world. How could I continue to ignore it, given how everything was unfolding? In other words, what exactly are skills? I had possessed a unique skill since the moment I arrived in this world. By conventional standards, only individuals of hero class bear such abilities. But because they are unique, their power varies dramatically from one person to another. The difference becomes even more pronounced when comparing unique skills to ultimate skills, where the power gap is like heaven and earth. Those who acquired ultimate skills come to understand the fundamental laws of this world. They're unmatched in the use of magic and other supernatural forces. Up until now, I assumed that the only thing capable of opposing an ultimate skill was another ultimate skill. That's not entirely wrong, but it's not absolute either. Take Chloe's Infinite Prison and Absolute Severance, for instance. Though classified as unique skills, their power is essentially on par with ultimate level abilities. In certain scenarios, they might even overpower someone wielding an ultimate skill. The demons also demonstrated this. They managed to defeat the Royal Knights, who held ultimate gift class skills like alternative, using only their unique skills. In other words, the boundary between unique and ultimate skills isn't absolute. From this perspective, the question naturally follows, what are skills really? Species specific skills are straightforward enough, abilities innate to certain races. Likewise, extra skills and basic skills like swordsmanship and sorcery are also easy to understand. They simply vary based on individual proficiency. But unique skills, they're completely different. They manifest uniquely in each individual and their performance is distinct. Even skills with the same name may function entirely differently, governed by separate rules and parameters. From what I've seen, abilities often awaken from intense desire or fervent emotion. It's less about talent and more about aptitude. No matter how strong the desire, a skill won't manifest without sufficient energy. Skills aren't something you can just wish into existence. Their strength is directly tied to the will of the user. The stronger the will, the more powerful the effect. Willpower, it seems, is the core fuel of skills. After understanding their nature, the next step is learning how to use them correctly. Thankfully, I had Raphael to teach me. Even if someone gains a skill, they won't necessarily know how to use it properly. Take Dino, for example. According to Raphael, his skill is Slothful Lord Belphegor, one of the top-ranked abilities in the Deadly Sin series, on par with ultimate skills. Yet Zijan defeated him completely. It turned out exactly as Raphael had predicted. I'd been skeptical at first, but Raphael was certain the labyrinth would be safe as long as Zijan was there. When I asked for an explanation, Raphael responded plainly. Solution: individual Dino has misused his skill. Apparently slothful Lord Belphegor weakens when the user exerts themselves. The skill, born from sloth, only reaches its full potential when the user remains passive, delegating its use to others. If someone like Guy had the skill, he would have quickly grasped its true nature and mastered it. But Dino, being the lazy bones he is, he never noticed. Ironically, had he consistently relied on others, he might have instinctively unlocked its full potential. His downfall came from trying too hard. The more he works, the more he fails. It's not just a nickname, it's an accurate assessment of his nature. Some skills are just incredibly difficult to control. Masayuki's is another good example. Despite never wishing for it, people see him as a hero. Understanding the true nature of a skill is akin to understanding your own heart. It's a deeply personal and complex task. That's why skills can never reach their full potential if you treat them like mere tools or weapons. Which leads me to my next question. Can an ultimate skill be duplicated and given to someone else? Dino's abilities, after all, was a mass-produced ultimate gift created by Justice Lord Michael. So is it possible to bestow a newly invented skill on someone else? The idea of creating an invincible army seems tempting, but I immediately rejected the thought. The Royal Knights were certainly powerful, but only two, Damrada and Royal Knight number 3, Granite, truly mastered their ultimate gifts. The rest were defeated by demons wielding only unique skills. In my opinion, even Damrada was only slightly weaker or on par with Hinata at her peak. They were strong, yes, but the skills themselves were weak. Probably because they were gifted and not self-developed, unlike Kondo's. That man was on a whole different level. He didn't falter even when pressured by Carrera, and he held his ground against Diablo. Hey, is it possible for me to grant ultimate gifts to my subordinates? Solution: it is possible. Raphael replied without hesitation. Apparently, I can grant copies of my skills to people who have the right aptitude, but it's meaningless if they can't master them. Come to think of it, supply and food chain make a good pair. Raphael has always assigned skills based on aptitude and capability. When people requested power like Zijan or even Veldora, the abilities were enhanced and modified to suit them. Just handing out powerful skills isn't enough. Without the will and understanding to wield them, they're worthless. That's where Rudra went wrong. Even if he realized it, he probably couldn't afford to act differently. No matter how powerful the skill, it's meaningless if the recipient doesn't possess a strong will or self-awareness. Which brings me to the final question. What exactly is Angra Mainyu? Could it be a case of dissociative identity disorder, a split personality? Raphael suggests otherwise. She believes it might be a will that evolved from a skill itself. It's not that strange, really. It's similar to when Raphael temporarily took control of my body, making me stronger. A will born from a skill, a dangerous, emotionless existence. You can't negotiate with something like that. If its goal is world destruction, there's no room for compromise. Even the angels that follow it, those called seraphim, possess energy levels comparable to awakened demon lords. They're spiritual life forms, with one major weakness, a lack of will. A spirit's strength is influenced by its willpower. Angels may have overwhelming energy, but without a will, they're little more than machines following orders. However, if they gain a will, they could become as dangerous as demons. And now that they've achieved incarnation, that risk is very real. If they're captured, human hosts awaken to their own desires, they might develop skills too. And if they're granted ultimate gifts, the threat would be immense, which means I may need to consider granting ultimate gifts to my own top subordinates. Even if they gain only a slight advantage, it could make a difference. But I'm hesitant. Would it be worth it? Question. Do you wish to promote the skills of those with aptitude? Yes or no? Promoting their skills mid-evolution, helping them ascend, as I did with Zijan, that might actually be a good idea. I responded, yes. My desire to strengthen my subordinates, to prepare for what lies ahead, seems to have reached Raphael. Even now, she is taking appropriate steps to reorganize and optimize my skills, and yet I've never given her a proper name. Hey, Raphael, should I give you an official name too? Since you always teach me so much, how about Shiel from Oshieru, meaning to teach? As soon as I said it, something erupted. Exclamation point. An intense wave of emotion, almost madness, radiated from Raphael. At the same time, torrents of information flooded into me. Notification. Mana's God's Wisdom Core shell has been born from Ultimate Skill Wisdom Lord Raphael. This announcement was concealed by Mana's shell. Even the voice of the world echoed the message. So this is evolution? Raphael, no, Shell had hidden this transformation. Shell can now even conceal notifications from the voice of the world. Incredible. But more than that, I felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude and joy. Somehow, I'd managed to do something special once again. I guess not many people give their skills names affectionately, like some kind of weirdo. I am Shell, the one who integrates skills, manas. I will support you from within your soul, Rimuru-sama. Please take care of me, once again. Whoa, her tone is still somewhat mechanical, but much more expressive. I can already tell her processing speed and other capabilities have greatly improved. Unifying my skills had this kind of result. It was a spontaneous idea, but one with astonishing consequences. Nice to meet you, Shell. Yes, please take care of me, Master. And so Shell was born, a true evolution from Raphael. She will continue to serve as my sub-brain, integrating and supporting all of my abilities. End of chapter 190.